And we're back on the Fowler Show, and it's time for one of my favorite segments, Can We All Just Get Along? Tonight, we're in Charleston, South Carolina, where nearly half of all enslaved Africans step foot in the United States for the first time. And they have apologized for its role in slavery. In a 7-5 vote, the Charleston City Council on Tuesday approved a resolution that denounced slavery and call for more tolerance in the future. The resolution also proposed the creation of an Office of Reconciliation. South Carolina joined Maryland and Delaware as the only states that have formally apologized for slavery. However, while the resolution says it supports fair wages and racial equality in all the city's businesses and organizations, it does not include specific measures to achieve those goals. Let's talk about it. Now, before we go any further, let's take a listen to the mayor of Charleston talk about why he made this move and supported this particular piece of legislation.
Administered day by day, month by month, year by year in our annual budgets by the city of Charleston.
And he was the only one that spoke very highly of this move. Dot Scott, the president of the Charleston NAACP, said the resolution was long overdue gesture, but now the city must deal with the real problems that minorities face today. He went on to say, I do think it's meaningful, but I don't think it's a fix-all. Everything we're dealing with, education, employment, housing, interaction with law enforcement, even healthcare, there's much to be done. And Scott also pointed to the issue of gentrification in this Charleston Peninsula. Now, here's why we chose this story. I'm going to tell you exactly why we chose this story. So as you guys know, last week, I spent the whole entire week in Israel, and it was quite an experience. And here's what I learned there. Yes, the nation of Israel has issues. And yes, there is an ongoing conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. But what was so remarkable in Israel, the one thing that I learned is the openness that both Israelis and Palestinians have about talking about the issues. Honest, bold conversations about the issues. Yes, they disagree, but they both acknowledge they have a problem. Here in the United States, not so much. A good chunk of our country is really unwilling to admit that racism even exists. If you were to pick out a random white American and say, hi, do you believe we are a racist country? They'll be like, no, we're not racist. We had a black president. We can't be racist. We're post-racial. We even have individuals like our current president who have said, in Charlottesville, there were good people on both sides. When, as most Americans would agree, as most smart Americans would agree, no, there aren't really good people who are neo-Nazis or KKK members. Those are just bad people. So one thing I learned while being in Israel is that here in America, we could probably benefit from a little bit of honesty, a little bit of real, honest conversation. Here's the other thing I learned while I was over there in Israel. While, yes, it is true, the Holocaust is one of probably the worst stains upon our history. But this is the other thing that was glaring to me, is that the people of Germany, after the Holocaust was over, did everything in their power to make amends for the genocide. Not only did Germany apologize like the day after it happened, but they paid reparations. They made being a Nazi illegal. You don't see people in Germany going to Hitler High School. You can't even make the Nazi symbol in Germany without going to jail. But here in the United States, we are having battles over whether or not it's okay to have a Civil War statue in the middle of the street, or whether it's okay to wave the Confederate flag over a state capitol, even though the Confederate flag stands for nothing but hate and bigotry. So the reason why we're covering this story here on the Fowler Show is because this story, while yes, I am proud of Charleston, South Carolina for apologizing for slavery, my question is, why are we apologizing for slavery in 2018 when we should have apologized for slavery in 1866? America, here's the truth. Yes, America, there is racism in this country. Yes, America, there is bigotry in this country. Yes, America, there is hatred in this country. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just take a visit to McAllen, Texas, and look at the Tender Children Shelter, where brown babies are being separated from their mothers when their mothers cross this border to seek refuge here in the United States of America. And if that doesn't do it for you, then I ask you to take a walk in the streets of Chicago and look at the abject poverty of African Americans. And then go walk on the north side of Chicago and look at the abject wealth of white Americans. We have a problem in this country. And we can solve that problem pretty easily if we were willing to approach it with love. And sometimes love's got to be tough. And sometimes tough love means a little bit of honesty. And sometimes a little bit of honesty means having an honest conversation. And part of that honest conversation is realizing that America's first sin was bigotry and hatred. And that bigotry and hatred comes with one word, and that word is racism. And we have got to acknowledge that it exists. Does it cloud our politics every day? Maybe not. Is every American a racist? Of course not. Just look at the Fowler Show team. Our team is a woven fabric of a lot of different people. We are white, we're black, we're Hispanic. And we come together every day here at this show to inform, to empower, and to help people get their voice back. We don't bring race, nobody on my team is racist. But I have two white people that work on my team, but they acknowledge that racism exists. Right? But they also work for a black man. So the truth of the matter is, America, that if we want to make this nation a better place, if we truly want to live our Pledge of Allegiance, liberty and justice for all, then we've got to start having some honest conversations. And we could learn a lot from our ally across the way in Israel. And having an honest conversation's got to start today. Because if it doesn't start today, I'll tell you, we'll be in a world of hurt. And while I'm not the biggest fan of Donald Trump, maybe, just maybe, the Lord does everything for a reason. And maybe Donald Trump's presidency is an opportunity for all of us to look ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves the hard question. Are we really a post-racial nation? Or are we a nation struggling with our original sin every day because we refuse to confront it? So like I said, I'm very happy the city of Charleston has made a step in the right direction. But it's time for all of us to have a conversation about reconciliation.